Last year, it was nearly impossible to find reasonable prices on the best graphics cards, never mind finding anything that would qualify as a budget or cheap option. The GeForce GTX 1650 Super and Radeon RX 6500 XT we're looking at today basically weren't available in 2021. Despite the former having launched in late 2019, it was selling for as much as $350, according to our historical GPU pricing data. We'll look at performance, price, features and tech, drivers and software, and power and efficiency in order to determine a winner. Those categories are listed in order of decreasing importance, in our view at least, so we'll start with the critical aspects and move on down the list from there. Gaming remains the main draw for graphics cards, though they can also help with video encoding and other tasks, or at least some of them can. Budget GPU aren't intended for high-resolution gaming, instead delivering performance similar to previous generation mid-range and high-end GPU at substantially lower prices. We put the GTX 1650 Super and RX 6500 XT to the test with our updated 8-game test suite, looking at 3 different settings and resolution combinations. 1008 gaming is the real target for these cards, though some lighter games might manage 1440 at lower quality settings. 1440 Ultra obviously pushes things too far, with sub-30 FPS performance in most of the games we tested. So let's just ignore the 1440 Ultra numbers and focus on 1008 performance. It's a bit of a mixed bag, with wild swings in relative performance, depending on the game. Overall performance at 1008 medium basically ended up a tie, with the GTX 1650 Super holding a negligible 2% lead. In the individual games, the 1650 Super was anywhere from 4% slower to a whopping 31% faster. But for the most part, the two provided a comparable experience. Prices have been all over the place for most of the past 2 years, though the RX 6500 XT only launched back in January 2022. The GTX 1650 Super originally debuted with a price of just $159 in 2019, and it was an excellent value at the time. Prices trended upward in 2020, and then spiked horrifically in 2021 when the GPU shortages and pandemic-influenced supply chain issues were at their worst. Even now, nearly 3 years after its launch, the lowest prices on the GTX 1650 Super are still $200. Unless you're willing to take a chance with a used car, which changes things up slightly. The GTX 1650 Super can be had for around $130 on eBay, while the RX 6500 XT starts at around $150. Both of those prices are very much estimates, as eBay shows far more fluctuations than retail stores. Plus, buying a used graphics card represents a risk. The good news is that neither of these GPU would have been a great option for mining purposes, due to having only 4 GB of memory, so they probably weren't run into the ground by their former owners. Normally, newer GPU architectures come with additional features. AMD Navi 24 and Nvidia's GTX 16 series represent an exception to that rule, in different ways. Despite using the Turing architecture, the GTX 1650 Super doesn't support ray tracing or DLSS, 2 of the biggest additions to Turing. It does support the improved Turing and VENC hardware, which promises higher quality streaming and codes with less of a hit on gaming performance, however, which does beat Navi 24. AMD Navi 24 GPU MIMO represents some serious cuts to the basic RDNA 2 architecture feature set. There's no video encoding hardware, only video decoding hardware. The PCIe interface also gets trimmed to just an X4 link, which despite being PCIe 4.0 capable still has half the potential throughput as the GTX 1650 Super's PCIe 3.0 X16 interface. It's also limited to 2 display outputs, typically one HDMI 2.1 and one DisplayPort 1.4. AMD and Nvidia release regular driver updates for their GPU. In AMD case, the company typically drops larger annual overhauls of its Radeon drivers, but the biggest changes in the past couple of years have focused on improving DirectX 11 performance in a few cases, and cleaning up bugs. Most major game launches tend to see AMD game-ready drivers, though not necessarily WHQL certified drivers. Nvidia maintains a similar release schedule for its GeForce drivers. It doesn't always have a monthly driver update, but you can count on having game-ready drivers on launch day for most major game releases. Nearly every Nvidia driver is WHQL certified. It's an extra step. Though in practice we're not sure how much it really matters, we've seen UI bugs and other issues still slip through the WHQL process. Thank you everyone for watching us till the end. It would be a great pleasure for us if you were a little helped with this video. Comment us below.